विद्यार्थी मित्र, आपल्या सायन्स अँड टेक्नॉलॉजी पार्ट फर्स्ट यातला आपण दुसरा पाठ आपण यापूर्वी आता अभ्यासलेला आहे. म्हणजे सुरुवातच आपण दुसऱ्या पाठापासून केली. आज आपण आपल्या याच पार्ट फर्स्टचा पहिला पाठ सुरू करणार आहोत. दॅट इज द ग्रॅव्हिटेशन. About gravitation, in our previous standard we learnt about it. We know that the gravitation force is a universal force. That gravitation force not only act on the in between the earth and any object, but that gravitation force act on each in between the each and every object. Now we discuss about the how that gravitational force is discovered. We know that Sir Isaac Newton a greatest scientist. Isaac Newton discovered the gravitation or the gravitational force. How that gravitational force is discovered by the Newton, that story is also very well known about it. When, see here, suppose it is the surface of the earth and it is a tree of an apple. These are some apples which are on the different height. These are apples on the different height. An apple falls on the ground or on the earth from the tree. When that apple fall on the ground and Newton observed that the direction of that falling ground of that apple toward the earth, that is the vertical. That apple falls on the ground in the vertical direction. Why that apple does not go in the horizontal direction? Or when that apple falls on the earth, why that there is no in angle in between that vertical direction? Why that apple does not fall on the earth in the angle of the vertical? म्हणजे जेव्हा ते सफरचंद झाडावरून पडलं तेव्हा ते सरळ क्षितिज लंब रेषेनेच का पडलं? ते असं समांतर रेषेत का गेलं नाही किंवा ते असं तिरप्या दिशेने का पडलं नाही, असे विचार न्यूटन यांच्या डोक्यामध्ये येऊ लागले. When Sir Newton thought about it and they came about that direction of that apple, falling direction of that apple, he came in the conclusion that our earth must be apply a force on that apple. Our earth must be apply a force on that apple, and that direction of that force is toward the center of the earth. Direction of the force is toward the center of the earth, and because of that, each and every apple when falls on the earth, that falling direction is the vertical direction. Falling direction is the vertical direction, and that force which are applied by the earth on that apple, that force is known as the gravitational force. That force is known as the gravitational force. It is a story of that discovery of the gravitational force. Newton thought that if that force acts on each and every apple, which is different height from the ground, which has the different height from the ground, and but when that apple falls on the earth, the direction is also vertical direction. It means that a object from the earth is a far away. It means that the object which is far away from the earth, as like a moon. On that moon, earth also applies the gravitational force. Earth also applies the gravitational force. Now we turn toward the force and motion. Force and motion. In previous standard of the in our ninth class, we also learned about what is the force and what is the motion. Now we discuss about it. What is the first we discuss about the motion. What is the motion? When we say that the object is in a motion, when an object changes its position, when an object changes its position with respect to surrounding, at that time we may say that that object has a motion. When an object changes its position with respect to surrounding, at that time we said that that object has a motion. And what about the force? We also know now about what is the definition of the force. It is a necessary physical quantity. Force is a necessary physical quantity to change the speed as well as the direction of the motion. It is a necessary physical quantity to change the speed and direction of an object. To change, what is the force? Force is a physical quantity which is necessary to change the speed and direction of an object. A force is necessary. Force is necessary. Both the definitions, it means that the definition of the motion and definition of the force we learned in our previous class, that is in 9th class. Now one more thing, we turn to our circular motion and centripetal force. Circular motion and centripetal force. Circular motion and centripetal force. First we discuss about the circular motion. The definition of the circular motion is also learnt in our 9th class in the form of uniform circular motion. How can we define the circular motion? When object moves in circular direction, in circular path. Circular path. When object moves in circular path, that motion is said to be a circular motion. That motion is said to be a circular motion. वर्तुळाकार गती कशाला म्हणायचं? जेव्हा एखादी वस्तू वर्तुळाकार मार्गाने फिरत असेल तर त्या गतीला वर्तुळाकार गती असं म्हणायचं. That definition is also learned in our 9th class in the form of that uniform circular motion. When object moves in a circular path, that motion is said to be a circular motion. Now, first we perform an activity, and then when some questions arising in that activity, we will try to answer it. See here, it is a string, and at the one end of the string a chalk piece, means the object is tied, and one end of the string is in my hand, and I rotate that object in that form. I rotate that object in that form. It means that now that object is in a motion, and that motion is a circular motion. It will, in that activity, that object is in a motion, and that motion of that object is a circular motion. And in such condition, if that object is in a circular motion, at that time, is force is applying on it? It is a first question arising about it. If force is applying on it, if yes, what is the direction of that force? The second question, what is the direction of that force? Then third question is that how can we remove that applied force? How can we remove that applied force on that object which has the circular motion? And fourth question is that if we remove that applied force, then what happened about the object? म्हणजे या ऍक्टिव्हिटी मध्ये आपण दोरीच्या एका टोकाला एक ऑब्जेक्ट म्हणजे खडू बांधलेला आहे आणि तो वर्तुळाकार मार्गाने फिरतो आहे. या स्थितीमध्ये आपल्याला या 4 प्रश्नांची उत्तरे शोधायची आहेत. पहिला प्रश्न कोणता पडला होता आपल्याला? या वर्तुळाकार मार्गाने हा जो फिरणारी वस्तू आहे याच्यावर एखादा फोर्स अप्लाय झालेला आहे का? जर आपलं उत्तर हो असेल तर त्या फोर्सची दिशा कोणती, हा दुसरा प्रश्न. तिसरा प्रश्न असा होता, जर त्याच्यावर लावलेला फोर्स, अप्लाइड फोर्स, हा आपण कसा काढून टाकायचा, आणि जर तो काढला तर काय परिणाम होईल? जर तो काढला तर काय परिणाम होईल? आपण याच्या संदर्भातलीच एक आकृती पाहू. It is a circular path of that object. It is a circular path of that object, and it is the center of that circular path. Our first question is that object has the circular motion, and in this condition, if force is applied on it, our answer is that yes, force is applied on it. How can we conclude? How can we turn to that conclusion? The force is applying on it. We know that now that object is in a steady condition. There is no motion. To change that condition, change that condition of that object, we apply the force. Without force, we does not move that object. आपल्याला हे माहिती की फोर्स अप्लाय झाल्याशिवाय वस्तूमध्ये गती येत नाही, म्हणजे त्याच्यावर फोर्स अप्लाय होतो. Our first question is that when that object is in a circular motion, at that time in such condition, is that force is applied on it? Yes, force is there. And now second question is that if force is there applied on that object, what is the direction of the force? So direction of the force is toward the string. The direction of the force is toward the string, and that direction is toward the center of the circle. म्हणजे याच्यावर कार्य करणारा जो फोर्स आहे तो या स्ट्रिंगच्या साह्याने, या दोरीच्या साह्याने कार्य करतो, आणि त्याची दिशा ही त्याच्या ज्या वर्तुळाकार मार्गाने ती फिरतो आहे पदार्थ त्याच्या सेंटरच्या दिशेने असतो. दोन प्रश्नांची उत्तर आपल्याला मिळाली. या ऍक्टिव्हिटी मध्ये पडलेला आपला तिसरा प्रश्न असा होता, हाऊ कॅन वी रिमूव्ह द फोर्स विच इज अप्लाइड ऑन द ऑब्जेक्ट. म्हणजे या ऑब्जेक्टवर, या वर्तुळाकार मार्गाने फिरणाऱ्या ऑब्जेक्टवर जो फोर्स अप्लाय झालेला आहे तो आपण कसा काढून टाकायचा. कसा काढता येईल? हाऊ कॅन वी रिमूव्ह दॅट फोर्स, हाऊ कॅन वी स्टॉप द फोर्स ऍक्टिंग ऑन इट. If I release this string, if I release the string, see here what happened. Now, if I release the string, at that time, the acting force is also stopped. म्हणजे माझ्या हातातली जेव्हा ती दोरी मी सोडून देतो तेव्हा त्याच्यावर असलेला फोर्स, त्या ऑब्जेक्टवर असलेला फोर्स हा निघून जातो. When we stop the applying force on that object, so what happened? See here what happened. Observe minutely. I release the thread, or I release the string. The object who is moving in that circular path, when if I release the string, in that condition, that object flies off away. That object fly off along that string line, straight line. That object flies away. What is the direction of that object? When I release the force or release the string, that direction is toward the tangent of that circle. म्हणजे ते हातातली दोरी सोडल्याबरोबर तो जे ऑब्जेक्ट आहे तो ऑब्जेक्ट, समजा या पोझिशन मध्ये असल्यानंतर आपण हातातली दोरी सोडली, हातातली दोरी सोडली की त्याच्यावर ऍक्ट होणारा जो फोर्स आहे तो फोर्स नाहीसा होतो, आणि तो जो वर्तुळाकार मार्गाने फिरत होता ऑब्जेक्ट, तो वर्तुळाकार मार्गाने न राहता तो या सरळ दिशेने निघून जातो. दॅट ऑब्जेक्ट फ्लाइज अवे इन द स्ट्रेट लाइन, and that straight line is the tangent on the circle. The straight line is tangent on the circle. We know that when object is in a circular motion, at that time, from each and every point, the velocity of that object gets changes. When we release the force acting on it, at that time, at which point that object is that, that object flies away in straight line in the direction of that tangent on that point. म्हणजे त्या बिंदूच्या जी स्पर्शिका असेल त्या स्पर्शिकेच्या दिशेने तो ऑब्जेक्ट निघून जातो. So these are the questions and their answers of that activity. I think you maybe understand that questions and the answers. Now, when understand that in which condition that object flies away, when I release the string, it means that when I stop the force acting on it, at that time that object flies away. that object is in a circular motion. That object is in a circular motion as up to the force is acting on it. म्हणजे तो फिरणारा ऑब्जेक्ट माझ्या हातातून दूरवर केव्हा निघून गेला, जेव्हा त्याच्यावर ती दोरी सोडली म्हणजेच का, त्याच्यावर ऍक्टिंग होणारा फोर्स आपण काढून टाकला. पण जोपर्यंत फोर्स दोरी हातात आहे म्हणजेच तोपर्यंत त्याच्यावर फोर्स अप्लाय झालेला आहे. पण जोपर्यंत फोर्स अप्लाय झालेला आहे तोपर्यंत ती वस्तू, तो ऑब्जेक्ट सर्क्युलर मोशन मध्येच राहतो. मग तो ऑब्जेक्ट सर्क्युलर मोशन मध्येच राहण्याचं कारण काय असेल, तर त्याचं एकमेव कारण आहे त्याच्यावर ऍक्ट होणारा फोर्स. व्हॉट इज द रिझन बिहाइंड इट? व्हेन अन ऑब्जेक्ट इज इन अ सर्क्युलर पाथ, that circular motion does not changes by the object until force is applied on it. So that is the applied force is the reason. Applied force is the reason to that circular motion. So that applied force, the direction of that applied force is toward the center, and that force is known as the centripetal force. Centripetal force. Now we define the centripetal force. What is the definition of the centripetal force? See here. A force act on only object moving along a circle and its direction toward the center, direction towards the center, this force is called as centripetal force. This force is called as centripetal force. It is the definition of the centripetal force. Force act on only an object moving along a circle and its direction toward the center. This force is called as the centripetal force. म्हणजे वर्तुळाकार मार्गाने गतिमान असणाऱ्या वस्तूवर वर्तुळाच्या केंद्राच्या दिशेने कार्य करणारं जे बल असतं त्या बलाला सेंट्रिपेटल फोर्स, अभिकेंद्री बल असं म्हणतात. We observe that activity which is performed now, and from that activity it is clear that the moon has a circular motion. We know that, suppose it is our earth and a moon who moves around the earth. Moon has the circular motion, and due to that motion, that moon round up around the earth. We observe that activity now, and in that activity we also discuss that as the force is applied on it, centripetal force is applied on it, up to that object moves circular. That motion of that object has a circular motion, As the force releases, that object flies away in the direction of the tangent of that circle. Now see here, it is a moon who can rotate around the earth. That moon does not changes its orbit. They have a continuous motion around the earth. Is there any force? That moon has a circular motion. Is there any centripetal force which is acting toward the center of that orbit of the moon? Yes, there is a centripetal force, and that centripetal force is a gravitational force which applied by the earth on the moon. And due to that gravitational force, which gravitational force acts as a centripetal force for the moon? And due to that centripetal force means the gravitational force acting on the moon by the earth, that moon rotates in circular path around the earth. Suppose the force acting on the moon by the earth stopped. What happened? Think about it.